You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.
Welcome back to our Options Insider Radio interview series, live to tape here from the scenic and sunny Options Industry Conference 2025 down here in Palm Beach, Florida. Next up is a newcomer to the program and indeed to the network. He is Troy McNeil, the co-founder at Option Omega. Troy, welcome to the Options Insider Radio Network.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
And Troy, as a first-timer here, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of an overview of your background in the world of options, as well as what the heck is Option Omega? What are we talking about?
Sure thing, yeah. So I was a software developer for many years in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. Learned options, got into options in a weird way via a philosophy book, strange enough, and started...
Not your usual options origin story.
No. Although I'm sure Nassim Taleb has gotten some people into it through all his stuff. But I started learning options and religiously listen to your show and Option Bootcamp.
Oh, you're the one guy.
Every Wednesday, I'm that guy that clicks the button. And started learning options, started losing money with options, just like anybody should. And started trying to think through with my software development background, me and a friend, is there a way to backtest? So then we got into backtesting and realized that some of the data we were looking at in backtesting wasn't quite matching what we were seeing in our brokerage. And so once we figured that out, we figured out that, they were using end of day data. And for anyone who's traded options for 5 seconds at this point, it's not going to cut it. And so it's a hard problem to solve. We took a while to try to figure it out, and we think we came up with a pretty good solution. So we use 1 minute data, and it's a backtester. So if you've ever wanted to figure out what an iron condor is, you can go back to 2013 and see what an iron condor would do and do all sorts of crazy stuff with it, and at a 1 minute interval. So it's crazy.
You don't get a lot of people who come from philosophy and decide they want to build an options backtester. So that is certainly unique in and of itself. But tell us a little bit about the Omega platform. Obviously, you can do a backtest on it. Whenever I talk to people who do backtests, it's always fascinating to me because they always uncover some hidden truth or some hidden secret of the market that they never realized before. Like, if you do 3 days iron condors in this specific name in this couple of months, it is 100% profitable, or some widely held strategy that everyone loves is really not as good as people think. So what are some of the interesting nuggets you've uncovered, some of the surprises as you've been building this platform?
Well, I mean, the number one thing, which is why we built it, is it constantly proves you wrong. And it proves you wrong for a lot less money than, putting an idea on. And so the thing that I'm constantly thinking through and trying to see in my own trading, look, I kind of do weird stuff. So I'll do like butterflies for a credit. So I'll research that. And the nice thing is you can do things where you say, I'm going to only do this if I can actually collect a credit for it. And stuff like that. And so
that's not crazy. I like a good butterfly for a credit.
Love butterfly for a credit. But then it's like, how far out can you get for a small amount of credit?
You get pretty funky with some of the construction.
It gets kind of weird. Yeah. So the nice thing is you can do that and you can see, and people, it's funny, people will backtest for a while and they get frustrated because they're like, there's no good strategy. And we try to make it real enough to where, it's the stages of grief. At first, you have an idea of an options trader, and you're like, I'm going to be a genius. No one ever has thought of a short straddle, and then a longer dated straddle together. No one's ever thought of that.
No one.
And then you put it on, and you're like, I am an idiot. And so Backtesting allows you to add a second step to that, to say the second step is, oh, I actually might be a genius. And then you just continue to punish the backtest, as we call it, and try to make it more and more realistic to where you can have confidence. It's all about trying to get confidence in your trading.
Now, if I come to Option Omega, and let's say I'm one of these people who's looking for a little idea generation, do I have to come armed with my own? I really want to backtest, 10% out of the money covered calls, or do you maybe surface some of like the top 10, most popular or most effective backtests you've seen, or is there some idea generation there as well?
That's a good idea. Yeah, we don't do that in the app. It's pretty open-ended. It's an open world concept, as they say. But we have a Discord where we have a couple thousand people who are talking about backtesting all day and trading. So in the Discord, you get a lot of people who kind of get excited, and then you'll have 6 other people that are like, friend, I've been down that road already. You don't want to do that. And so it actually helps people
there you
a
go.
lot.
Free idea, hot backtest of the month or something.
That's right.
That. That'll get some clicks.
Right, for sure.
So Option Omega right now, is it like a paid subscription backtest? How does the platform work?
Yeah, it's a paid subscription, and you basically sign up. You can pay by year or month and all that good stuff. Actually, if you go to optionomega.com/register/option-insider, you get 30% off your first year.
Look at you.
So,
come in armed with a
come in hot. Come in hot.
URL and a promo code. I like it.
Yeah, but the cool thing about it is the number one thing, we're always adding to it, but the number one request by far has been, it would be nice to have a backtest and to be able to trade that backtest.
I was just going to ask you that. The next step. What's the next step?
It's the logical next step. And so we're launching that next month.
Oh, really?
And we're launching with a couple different brokerages. But you'll be able to run a backtest. If you like it, click one more button and you're trading it. And so trying to make it pretty seamless.
That's always the next evolution, obviously, for all these platforms. Everyone builds a cool mousetrap.
Yeah.
And then people are like, what can I do with it? Can I click through
100%.
and actually trade it? You don't want to have to go repopulate it. By the time you do that, the trade's gone. Right?
100%.
So, yeah, that's the obvious next. I'm glad to see you're taking that leap. Any hints? Any brokers we could hint at or tease at?
The two right now that we got in there, the beta's almost over, is Tasty and Tradier.
Okay.
And then some more.
Those guys were just here.
I had a conference to trade.
They had horrible things to say about you. I won't say
no,
what it was.
Get ready, because it's all, you're going to hear that a lot.
Well, outside of finding some new platforms for Option Omega, what brings you down to OIC this year? Getting the lay of the land? Are you pressing the flesh? What brings you here this year?
Yeah, I mean, I am thoroughly a retail trader. And so I'm watching all these really impressive looking people. And it's a good challenge just to come in. But I looked at OIC and I basically saw that it was talking about retail this year. And I thought, this is all we deal with. We have thousands and thousands of retail traders. And so I want to try to get a lay of the land, and I want to hear from the best of what they're thinking and things like that. And so brought us down here.
Let me ask you, this obviously kind of unprecedented markets we're all going through right now. We're just breaking down some of the numbers today. April volume up nearly 25% year over year. I don't think we've ever really seen these kind of numbers before, let alone the sprinkling of a global trade war on top. It certainly adds
quite the cherry.
Yes, an unprecedented layer. Have you seen an evolution so far this year in the types of strategies people are backtesting? Did they start off the year maybe looking at your usual covered calls and everything else, and then once it started hitting, are they all backtesting, long puts? What kind of evolution have you seen in the backtest this year?
Well, we have a ton of people who trade what they would call multiple tranches, 0 day spreads all day long. So we have a ton of 0 dayers in there. And what's funny is the pre-Liberation Day, they were just getting whipsawed left and right. You'd see people, and you hear things, and you talk to people, and they'd say, you can't go 10 seconds without getting stopped out in this market.
Especially in this market, yeah.
What's crazy though, and what's interesting is once the vol came in via Liberation Day, they actually started killing it. And so that's like a little trend that's interesting to me and they're probably back to getting whipsawed. Now the VIX is at 23, 24, but when you get a VIX 40, that market, the width was so wide on some of those spreads that they were, I've talked to multiple people who said they had the best day ever when we were down like 6% or something crazy, overnight. So that kind of data we love that because it shows, you would go in and you'd think a 40 vol, I'm not going to sell anything. Well, we have the data now that says in certain environments, a 40 vol, you might be able to sell something and take a profit, get out early, do something different. So again, it's a crazy time. People who are long vol have been having their favorite year in a long time, but there's something for everybody in it, as long as you're willing to maybe just not buy stock and keep it.
Well, you mentioned the data issue. You're talking about 0-day. That for a long time really flummoxed, backtesting. No one had any good intraday data.
Yeah.
You mentioned they were doing close to close.
Yeah.
You literally can't do 0-day with that.
No.
So what kind of a challenge was that, just getting the intraday data you need to effectively back? Because you got to see how it's working at 8:30, at noon, at 2 o'clock. There's a lot of evolution intraday.
For sure. Yeah, no, it was a huge problem. And for a long time, honestly, like we didn't know if we could do it because, and we, as a software developer, you look around, you say, well, no one else is doing this. And so we're not.
Maybe there's a reason.
Maybe there's a reason. That's right. But basically, I mean, the issue is that if you look at an option chain and you think about each option chain, each expiration in the option chain, and now you do that times 1. Okay. And now you do that every minute for 9:30 to 4 every day for 10 years. It is an enormous amount of data, a large amount of data. And so it wasn't a question of getting clean data. Our provider, we have a lot of confidence in. It's just a question of how do you store it in a way that doesn't take 45 minutes to run a test. And we think we did it. And so we feel confident in it.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who just threw up their hands and said this is just this is untenable. So I'm glad to hear you think you've cracked it. On that subject of 0-day, it's obviously a hot topic at the conference right now for years. A lot of our listeners, you say you've heard the shows, you probably heard them. People have asked, we like the 0-day SPX and SPY. What else you got? Give me my Teslas, my NVIDIAs of the world. And for years, the answer was, it doesn't seem like we're going to get that anytime soon.
Yeah.
It seems like, we just had the NASDAQ folks in here this morning. It seems like we're making some movements on that front. They're proposing a limited pilot, 7 names, I think, +1. So the Mag 7 plus Broadcom, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
And maybe starting, if they can get approved by the end of this year, beginning of next year, with some caveats around earnings week, so they take that one out.
Yeah.
So that's the obvious risk. Of course, we're in a market where every tweet is a risk, so that's a little bit different.
Right.
I don't know how you take that out.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting. I'm curious from your perspective. It sounds like you do a lot of 0-day. What are your thoughts on that approach to solving the single name equity 0-day problem?
Well, I mean, it would be awesome if they can do it. I know from a data standpoint, the question is, take NVIDIA. We have people ask for NVIDIA all the time. So basically, we have a couple tickers that we allow people to do. We do the Qs, IWM, SPY, SPX, and then Tesla and Apple. And we use Tesla basically as a proxy for a meme stock, and we use Apple as a proxy for your tried and true. Apple's basically an index, is what I tell people. And so we have people ask for NVIDIA all the time, and I think we'd love to have it, and especially if they start having 0-day expirations, the data can start building really quick to where you could build some strategies around it. The problem is when you're trying to go back in history, you'd really almost have to have a start date of when they do that, because the strategies are going to be, a double calendar in NVIDIA. If they have 5-day-a-week expirations, that's a totally different market at that point. Just might as well start fresh. And so that's the only issue for us. It's really not an issue. It's just we wouldn't be able to go back as far as we necessarily want. But things change. I mean, even SPX dailies was May 22, and so we have a button in Option Omega to where a lot of people just test from SPX dailies because it's just a completely different ballgame.
And if they added like you said, if you added 0-day in NVIDIA, it would be a different ballgame as well. And we saw that when they added the weeklies. All of a sudden, the monthlies started performing differently, and then the 0-day in the SPX, and now everything started performing differently. So you're right.
For sure.
It would definitely change even the back test you already have, because you can't really look at those beyond a certain date with the same level of validity that you used to.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think the market, I mean, it's exciting to hear that they would do that, because I think just people want the opportunity to play, and they want the opportunity to have more occurrences. And so any symbol that you have that has more occurrences, people can build confidence in a specific strategy, whatever you do. If you have, four times a month expirations, it's really hard sometimes to build a tried and true strategy that you could test a lot. And so for testing purposes, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. I mean, I know there were some competing proposals. Seems like this one won out, at least for now. Obviously, it's not approved, so nothing is a done deal yet.
We're all waiting on Trump Coin. Trump Coin will be the number one ticker that we get.
There we go. Well, Troy, I appreciate you coming on and giving us a little bit of an insight into everything Option Omega. we like to leave our audience wanting a little bit more. So before we go, you want to give them a little hint, a little tease of what they can look forward to coming down the pike from Option Omega. Now is the time, sir. The floor is yours.
Like I said, next month we're launching automation. And if you are new to options trading, we're going to try to start putting out some stuff that's for people who are beginners. And I know there's a ton of beginner education out there, but beginning in the sense of if you want to automate, you're a guy like me that was a software developer at work, and you don't want to just lose thousands of dollars at lunch, as I would do early in my career, options trading, being sad while you're supposed to be happy. We're going to try to put stuff out for you to where you look at SPY strategies. I do BUM strategies. Something to say, I like the idea of automation. I like the idea of getting in the game, but I can't watch the computer all day. We really want to be the platform for you. And so reach out, optionomega.com. And
hit us with that promo code again, URL.
Yeah, optionomega.com/register/option insider for 30% off your first year. And shout out Option Insider. It is, I'm not just blowing smoke. Like every Wednesday, the bootcamp episode comes out, and I've listened to it for 9 years, I think, maybe a decade.
Long-running show, yes.
Yeah, the black-hatted one and all of these people. So thank you so much for the service you've done. You really have done a ton.
I appreciate it. It's been a fun run. Options Bootcamp in particular has been, we got to put up with Dan for over a decade. I should get some sort of award for that. Yeah. But you should see the trajectory on that show post-COVID. It's been just another level. People are going back to literally episode 1, which was 2012, 2013, and starting from episode 1 and going all the way through. It's wild.
That's awesome.
So it's great to see. We love it. But also it's wild to see so many people coming in. So we love it. We appreciate it. Thank you for being a loyal listener. Hit us one more time with that URL so people can check out.
optionomega.com/register/option insider.
There you go. Well, Troy, it's a pleasure to meet you. Have a good rest of your conference, and we'll look forward to seeing how Option Omega, how it unfolds, all these cool initiatives in the marketplace in the coming months.
Thanks so much for taking time, sir. Appreciate you.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.